Wait a minute. You like wrestling?
Of course I like wrestling. That's why I hate it. Outlaws.
Wrestling is better than the things you like.
Outlaws.
You'll take those rattlesnake fangs and you'll stick them right in my ass.
What?
Middle-aged. Outlaws.
Today I'm middle-aged.
Adam, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you a question at the start of the episode, and then I'm going to ask you the same question at the end of the episode. I just want you to answer with whatever comes naturally, okay?
Okay.
So, we've got a number of different eras of professional wrestling. Agreed?
Yes.
We've got the rockin' wrestling era, the new generation, the attitude era, the ruthless aggression era, the PG era. We're agreed on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favourite colour? Nice and
Blue.
fast. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
What's the best era of professional wrestling?
Attitude era.
Okay.
But I think I'm wrong. Would I
Keep
take
that in
time
mind.
to think about it?
No. Keep that in mind, and I'll ask you again at the end of this episode.
Oh, no.
Welcome to episode 51 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Today, we are going to climb the mountain that is the Attitude Era, and I would say we're almost reaching the peak of the Attitude Era. We are in April 1999, just coming off the raging climax that is WrestleMania 15.
Yep.
What an unbelievable tagline that is when you think it.
Mm-hmm.
That could be the Netflix show about Vince McMahon, eh? The raging climax.
Oh, yeah.
Before we go any further, yes, it is episode 51. We're talking Backlash 1999. It was my pick, and I've spent the last few days feeling horrendous for picking this show. But before we go any further, I'm going to give a very quick Outlaw shout-out to one of our biggest fans, Adam. His name is Luca. I'd like you to give him a shout-out right now.
Hey, Luca.
Fantastic. Okay, it's April 1999. Everything's edgy and crazy, and South Park is on the rise. I would probably guess round about this point in time.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is an ass kicker. Hold on, ass kicker. Celebrity Deathmatch is probably one of the biggest things going. So let's talk about that era of our lives. Albums released in April 1999, Adam. Nas, I Am. The Cranberries, Bury the Hatchet. No Suede this week, but I guarantee you're a Cranberries man.
Yeah, I liked some Cranberries songs. Yep.
Some singles that were big around this time. Blink-182, What's My Age Again?
Nice.
Timeless. Fatboy Slim, Praise You.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And the Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way.
Okay. What did they
And
mean?
Adam's going to sing that.
Nah, I'll leave it.
Okie doke. Some young whippersnappers that were born in this month. Isaac Hempstead Wright, a man better known for lying on his back for multiple seasons of TV. Get your mind out of the gutter, Adam. It's Bran from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Lil Nas X.
Okay.
You aware of?
I've heard of him.
That's
enough.
And Chase Young, quarterbacker for the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh.
Okay. He is, isn't he?
Chase Young. Chase Young's he's a defensive guy, isn't he?
Is he?
Redskins. No, they're not called that anymore. I'm not even allowed to say that. Washington. Commanders. I couldn't remember what they'd called themselves now. Yeah.
Two deaths that I think would have impacted on both our lives at this time, both for very different reasons. One, Jill Dando.
Oh, really? Is that long ago? Wow.
Quite a big one. And The Insurance Policy, Ravish and Rick Rude.
Oh, gutted. Yeah. Wow. Time flies.
Absolutely. UK number 1 in the music charts at this time, Adam.
Right, at this time, right, 1999. Okay. Spice Girls.
No. I've just mentioned the band earlier very briefly. We spoke about them last time.
Oh.
And I said, you're definitely a fan of this band.
Oh.
The song title is Something That You Require in Your House to record this podcast.
Oh.
Toilet by...
I don't know.
These are terrible clues I'm giving you. It's Electricity by Swede.
Ah, of course. We spent all that time talking Swede.
The US number 1, Billboard number 1, was actually sang, but not like... Hold on, let me start that again. The song that was number 1 in America at this time was sang on this pay-per-view.
What? Oh, I don't remember anything being sang on this pay-per-view.
I'll give you even further of a clue.
Yeah, you'll have to.
It was sang by Charles Wright himself, the Godfather.
What was he singing? I mean...
He said, Gold Dust, you'll not be getting any of these hoes because...
Was it No Scrubs?
Yes.
Yes.
By?
TLC.
Beautiful. 2 points.
I needed... you had to walk me there, but I got there.
No, you got there. The horse drunk from the water, as they say. They don't say that. UK box office. I've not seen this film. It stars Nicolas Cage.
You've not seen this film?
No, I'm afraid not.
Right. So both of these things, like my first instinct was like, it'll be like American Pie or something like that because it's 99 and that must have been around then.
Absolutely.
It definitely didn't have Nicolas Cage in it, and you probably have seen it, so it's not that.
Imagine Nicolas Cage as Jim's dad in American Pie.
He's such a different type of film. I'm not sure. I can't think of a big Nicolas Cage film from around then.
Is it maybe like based around a snuff movie? 8mm?
Oh, I don't know if I've ever seen that. I've heard of it.
Okay. The movie that was top of the box office in America, you have heard of. I wonder if it's too much of a... It's like 1999 movies. You were kind of there with American Pie because it's of its time. If I say what I want to say, it gives too much away. So I'm not going to. So I'll let you have a couple of guesses.
Oh, man. Just like totally open guesses. All right. Phantom Menace.
No. I'm not even sure when that came out, so I can't even say it was a good guess.
I was a student at the time, so it was somewhere in that 3-year window.
So April 99, we're not that far off coming off Columbine.
Uh-huh.
And The Undertaker, bit of trivia for you, is not wearing a trench coat as he comes to the ring during this pay-per-view because of the backlash in relation... That's not funny because it's in relation to lots of people dying. So shut up. Anyway, this film also could have been blamed for Columbine because of the same thing.
Because of the coat?
Yep. Oh, come on.
Is it the Matrix?
Yes! Yes!
Well, wow.
I couldn't have said that like that was obvious. Well done.
Yeah, the quote actually was maybe a bigger hint than you thought it would be. I don't know why it was, but it just went in my head.
Well played. Did you notice that about Undertaker? He wasn't wearing the coat?
No, didn't pick up on it at all.
Oh, well, fuck me for mentioning it then. Okay, let's do it. Backlash 99, the movie motion picture. Let's hear your fan cast, Adam.
Okay.
I take it we're working on the basis that Barry Corbin is always cast as JR from now on.
So I didn't recast Barry
Fantastic.
Corbin.
Why would you?
Stuck with it. Now, I spent a bit of time thinking I can surely get a better King than Sean Astin, but then other ones started, like other characters started getting in the way. So I didn't come up with another one for King.
Okay.
I spent a bit of time on Austin. I'm trying to decide if I'm happy with where I landed.
Okay. I'm really unhappy on where I've landed, so I'll welcome yours.
I've landed on Woody Harrelson.
That's exactly what I've got as well.
Maybe that just means it's as good as it's going to get.
I'm trying to think of a character where he's... If you Google Steve Austin, like, movie, then that's one of the things that comes up, because he's got a bald head. He can play like mental characters. I couldn't find anybody that I thought could play Austin.
I more went to like there was a little bit of Natural Born Killers in my mind, because I was thinking, he's pretty cold in that. Stone Cold even.
Chili McFreeze.
But I was also, how he's played all these like comedy characters, but you never quite know where the line is with them, like in Zombieland or something like that, where there's a hint of aggression there, but he's kind of funny, and that helped me think. Yeah, I couldn't think of anyone better than that.
See, you've sold me on that now.
Okay.
Yeah, you've sold me. The Rock.
I massively struggled with The Rock. I found that harder.
I bet you've done the same as me.
Have
you got anyone?
Well, I wrote down initially Jason Momoa. Is that him? Yeah.
He's getting dollars from us, like.
And then I was like, I was thinking, I mean, it's too cheap to have like Roman Reigns do it or something like that. It just seems a bit easy. But then I thought, if you were doing a Roman Reigns film, you would have Jason Momoa, because that just looks like it works.
Or you could get Rob Trujillo from Metallica to be involved in that as well.
Oh, yeah, that would work.
It could be a stunt double.
So in my notes after Jason Momoa, I just wrote, that's a bit shit, isn't it? Try and think of something else, and then if I've thought of anything else, I've not written it down. Did you have a good Rock?
No, I think you might be really disappointed in me. I went with the guy that plays him in Young Rock.
Oh, right, okay. I mean, yeah, it crossed my mind to do it. And he's good. He is good.
Haven't seen him in that sort of almost porn-esque bastardization of The Rock's life. Seeing him up on the big screen as The Rock probably wouldn't fly, but that's all I had, unfortunately. Yeah. However, I can take that bar that's just been lowered all the way to the floor, and I can push it all the way back up again with my Shane McMahon.
Oh, why do I not? I don't have Shane McMahon written down.
Oh my goodness!
I've dropped the ball there.
Special guest referee.
Oh, I've dropped the ball.
You ready?
Yeah, ready.
Miles Teller.
Oh, that's perfect. He really actually. There's a lot of similarities there, and he's quite annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that works. I don't think you would beat that. Nice.
I've just realised I've got Jason Momoa in as the Undertaker. He's going to be a busy man.
See, I tried to think of another one, because I'd had David Boreanaz last time, and again, I was struggling with that because I think I put too much thought into my Shamrock.
All right, who did you end up with?
Now, you know how he used to fly off the handle?
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be his thing that he snapped. Well, we've actually mentioned this guy already on the show. I put Nicolas Cage.
Amazing. I like that.
I can see that working.
Yeah. And he got jacked for playing Superman that time. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the recent bits and pieces of filming for that Roadhouse remake or whatever it is that they're making with Conor McGregor. Have you?
I've heard about it, not seen anything relating to it.
So I take it Jake Gyllenhaal's character must be a former MMA fighter. So they recently had him filming scenes at one of the most recent UFCs. He was in the ring. He was doing the weigh-ins. He was like fully jacked up, looking like a fighter. So I went with Gyllenhaal for Ken Shamrock.
Nice.
I think he's got the range to play a nutter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How do you think he would react if he was asked to be involved in a storyline with his off-screen lover, on-screen sister? Though that's the question.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine if it's for a film, he'll just throw himself into that. He'll be fine with that, I would have thought. Yeah.
Maggie Gyllenhaal cast as Ryan Shamrock then.
Yeah.
Easy done. Stick
Yeah.
a blonde wig on her. We're laughing. She isn't in the pay-per-view, but let's not let that get in our way. Did you have anyone else? I've got Boiler Room Brawl participants and Stephanie.
Okay, I've got Triple H and X-Pac.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Right. So Triple H, I've decided Charlie Hunnam would be a good Triple H.
Beautiful. I definitely would. That's good, by the way. As long as he didn't fuck up his accent.
Yeah,
Because you might get a bit of Geordie in there, a little bit of South
Yeah.
Africa.
that's a bit of a worry.
That's
Now-
good casting.
I've landed. I think I just ended up like, I don't know, trying to think of short actors, and it's really unfair on X-Pac, who's probably way taller than me. But I've ended up with, I'm not sure about this one, but I've ended up with Ben Stiller.
I'd like to know your thinking around that.
Right.
Just short.
Okay, but he's short, right? But also, have you ever seen like, I don't know if it was so much of a film, or maybe there was a music video he was in for a P Diddy music video. Where he was like, P Diddy had moved in next door and he was the party house, and
Knocks on
Ben
the
Stiller
door.
was like knocking on the door and just like, it's not going to fly, all that kind of stuff. But then basically inviting himself to the party despite, having a go about all that. And for some reason that made me think of X-Pac. I don't know why.
Hey, you've got your justification. I respect it. Okay. Do you have anyone else?
That's all I've got.
Okay, I've got because Stephanie plays such a integral
Prominent role.
part of all this.
Yeah.
I've got Emma Stone playing Stephanie.
Can see that. Yeah, that would
Wait.
work.
Better find somebody to play Vince too. On the lips. Anyway, we'll get to that. And for the Boiler Room Brawl participants, I've got Paul Walter Hauser playing Mankind. You know who that is, the gentleman
I do.
from
Yeah.
Blackbird.
Yeah.
Blackbird, yeah. And I have got the Mountain from Game of Thrones playing the Big Show.
Okay.
Big Show getting a serious Hollywood blow up.
Oh, we're gonna, Well, I think anytime we're doing this in future, I'm gonna have to try and remember the ones that I've got that I'm really happy with, and the ones that are a bit shit that I feel like I need to try and upgrade.
Okay. The Ben Stiller one is up there. Isn't it weird that we can't really think of great Austin and Rocks? Like, if they ever did make like an Attitude Era type, I don't know, something. I feel like it would be really hard to cast them. They'd have to go with unknowns.
Yeah, I think just because for Austin in particular, I can't imagine anyone but Austin being Austin. It'd be.
He's
it'd
also
be
looked
difficult.
the same for like a gazillion years.
Yeah.
And he looks amazing still now. So, good stuff. Okay, I would go see that. Now, the pay-per-view, on the other hand, let's get into it.
Oh, wow.
We kick off with a nice little video package. What we're doing, I think, is obviously we're just coming off WrestleMania 15. Austin's beat The Rock for the title. We're making sure it's clear that these two men are put on the same level, I feel. Like Austin is Austin at this point. Austin's like everywhere and massive, white hot. But I think The Rock, if there's no such thing as Steve Austin, The Rock would be as big as Austin. But Austin just takes that to another level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So we just get that little sort of video package setting us up for that match, and we get a little bit of background around what's going on with Vince, and Vince is sort of out of things. Shane's the de facto leader of the corporation.
Yeah.
You've got Undertaker. How would you describe what Undertaker's like at this point? Because I kept thinking Charles Manson.
Yeah, like I don't know, cult leader. I mean, they're basically, I don't know, a few inches away from calling him Satan. And I, this is one of these things. I don't know what I think of it, because I think when I was young, I maybe thought it was quite cool. I liked the idea, and now I look
Wait, when
on
you
it.
were young.
Yeah, younger.
What about now? No, what about now?
I kind of think it's a bit shit. I just can't, like, where do you go with it? I mean, he's not saying so, and you're still in a wrestling environment. You know, whatever you're doing with it, your show is a wrestling show, and I think, you know, you can maybe have your character that takes things too far, seems a bit unhinged, whatever, but to be so close to, yeah, this guy's gonna murder people. This guy's, you know, basically Satan. I don't know. I definitely liked it as a kid, and I thought, oh, they can go all kinds of places with this. But now when I watch it, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't like it.
It's really interesting, eh? I think what you said there is you're still in a wrestling environment. A lot of time when I was watching this pay-per-view, I was like, I think I would quite enjoy watching this as a TV show.
Yeah.
But it is a TV show. It's just that,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
for Vince Russo, it's a wrestling show. It's like, at this point, we're full on. We're not even sports entertainment, really. It's like, oh fuck, we need to put on a wrestling match every now and again.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting to watch, and at times pretty difficult. However, first match, we've got the Brood, Christian, Edge, and Gangrel taking on 3 members of the Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness, fully clothed Midian, and the Acolytes. Brood entrance, top 5. Top 5?
Yeah, I
All
like the
time?
Brood entrance. Yeah. I like
Music,
that.
fire. They didn't come up through the floor, which I was
Yeah.
gutted about.
Yeah.
See what you want about Gangrel. He was horrendous in the ring, but his character was
Oh yeah.
quite
And
fun to watch.
He was all in, I think. He wasn't holding back with his character at all.
Aye, he's living the gimmick, as they say.
Hmm.
Which I think Vince actually says in this pay-per-view at one point, doesn't he? About Mark.
Yeah, he does.
We're in full-on blurring the lines territory as well. Anyway, what did you think of the Brood versus fully clothed Midian and the Acolytes?
I just didn't get into it like that.
Did you not?
No, I actually basically struggled with almost every match on the card, but we'll get there. Yeah, like I thought it was, you know, it's telling a story, and they talk through the fact that the Brood had been affiliated with the Ministry, but Christian had given it away that Stephanie was in the boiler room. While Shamrock had the ankle lock on him, and Undertaker didn't appreciate Stephanie's whereabouts being revealed, so there was a whipping situation for Christian, and obviously that's all led to a separation from. I kind of had in my mind the Brood were kind of always in it, but obviously not in the Ministry.
Always in the Ministry, yeah. So it can only have been between Mania 15 and this pay-per-view, because I seem to remember them coming down from the rafters after the Hell in a Cell match with the Boss Man. They're the ones that put the noose down and all that. So it must have been relatively close to the pay-per-view this happened.
Yeah. I think I got a bit like there was lots of no selling by Bradshaw, and I don't know. I struggled to get into the match. Totally
Sounds it. Do you know what's funny? As I was going to say, I think this or the hardcore match were my favourite matches on the card.
Wow. Okay. I think, yeah, like, I struggled with pretty much all of it, but like we'll get to the main event when we talk about that. This, you know, I get it from a storyline point of view. I think they're trying to continue the storyline because even while the match is going on, the announcers are telling the story about what Undertaker said, that there will be a tragedy tonight,
Yep.
and we hear
Wait,
that.
That's a bit like taking the work shoot thing too far. If he knew all the matches were going to be like they were, though.
Yeah, we hear Vince and Stephanie are there in the building tonight. I've got in my notes one thing that from having watched WCW shows when it was all about the NWO and watching this, one thing that JR was so good at compared to the WCW announcers was telling the main event story and
100%.
the big storylines while still talking about the match that's going on in the ring in front of him, because in WCW they just ignored the match that was going on in front of them.
I've got that in my notes actually. JR doing a really good job of, if you've just picked this up like we have, he's basically telling you everything that's went on the last few weeks, whilst talking you through the match. Highlight the match. Two highlights of the match. One, what is in that jar that fully clothed Midian has got? Is it an eyeball?
I have a feeling it is, yeah.
And Nicole Bass is my father is one of the signs that's quite prominent in the crowd. Let's just skip through this because you obviously didn't enjoy it, and despite me saying that it was one of my favourite matches on the card, that is not saying a lot. It's quite usual affair until Christian. I think they isolate Edge for quite a long time. We got a hot tag to Christian. It's not the sort of hot tag that it's not the usual hot tag. Basically, it turns into Christian coming in and then getting into a 3-on-1 situation where the Brood are doing a lot of their sort of tandem moves and all that sort of stuff. I'd like to say out of nowhere, but he can't have came out of nowhere. But the camera makes it look like out of nowhere Big Vis just appears and kind of squashes Christian.
Yeah.
Kind of just walks into him, rolls him in the ring, and then obviously JBL has to get his clothesline for hell and takes Christian's head off, and they win the match. 1, 2, 3. I've got my notes. I genuinely enjoyed that. So
nice.
Good for you.
Viscera was massive. Absolutely massive.
He really was. Amazing to think they made him King of the Ring.
Yeah, what a weird era that was.
Do you remember, was that the 98? No, must have been 99 Rumble when they abducted him in the middle of the middle of the match, wouldn't it have been?
Yeah, I do remember that.
He's like walking back, like, looking like all hypnotized. Amazing. Okay. One down. Straight into the next match, which is for the hardcore title. Al Snow, accompanied by Head, taking on the champion, Hardcore Holly.
What a perfect, like that, what does everybody want music intro for Al Snow. Like the crowd shouting Head. Like perfect for this moment in time in WWE.
Yeah, that's what this show and this product kind of is. It's like, like The Godfather's ridiculously over because he's got catchphrases that the crowd are all shouting out, or music to pop to or whatever. It's really funny. And also, just going back to what you're saying about the NWO, you can see where Vince Russo's taken a lot of this stuff that he's been doing here and tried it in WCW and made a bit of a mess of it with the whole split ups and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, hardcore title is on the line. At what point did Bob Holly become hardcore, do you think?
I'm not sure. I remember he was in so many of these type of matches, like huge number of them. But I assume for like maybe like I don't know, a year and a half or something, it's probably all he did, and that would have been the gimmick. Who was his? He had his kayfabe cousin, Crash.
Yeah.
And I remember them like, because Crash always acted like he was like 300 pounds and massive and stuff like that. And I think Hardcore had to teach him a few lessons. But that like hardcore matches and the time that I think it was shown on video clips where he got a massive gash down his back are my main
Ooh.
memories of hardcore Holly.
Yeah, for some WrestleMania 2000, they had like a huge, big thing, didn't they? It was just like everybody and their granny was involved in it. I seem to remember them smashing a sweetie jar over someone. JR had a sweetie jar, smashing it over someone.
Yeah, that's right.
And these two were involved in these two were involved in a match at Mania where, no, was it St. Valentine's Day Massacre? One of them, they ended up fighting in the river and all that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, I think for the novelty value of things, I quite enjoyed this as well.
I didn't hate this. I mean, it's a hardcore match, and you know there's going to be a fair amount of nonsense. I think the being all around the arena and like out in like, I don't know, a car park, like a loading dock type place, and then the one of the trucks or one of the like engineer studio bits or something like that. They're kind of
in the truck.
Yeah, they're sort of all over the place, which I found entertaining enough. There were a few things. There was one thing that I just started laughing when King said it in commentary, when there's like one of them goes under the ring and just pulls out all this stuff, and King's like, "Why would we even have that under there?"
That's exactly something you asked the other week there when we were talking about it. I liked that Holly throws a kitchen sink at one point.
Yeah.
In the nose, humour. And the hip toss from the production truck onto the top of the car looked pretty brutal as well.
I think JR threw in a little joke that probably very few people got about whose car it was.
The Fink's car, classic.
Yep.
There's a horrible superplex onto the table, but it's, how would you describe it? It's not the traditional way that you'd go through a table. They don't go through it across the table. They go long ways through it. Like, that's asking for death.
Yeah. I mean, that when I was watching it, you're sort of, because when you go through the middle, you kind of know what's going to happen. It's quite predictable. The middle will give, the legs will sort of move a bit inwards and all that. But when you're going that way, it must be far harder to know what's going to happen in terms of the legs being underneath it.
Yeah, you'd have thought so. And the table looked like it had seen better days as well. It just all looked a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Snow ends up getting the win. Yes.
Yeah. So Snow ends up crawling for head.
We've all done it.
And then hits Hardcore Holly in the head with head to get the pin win and new Hardcore champion.
Indeed. And they go on later in the pay-per-view to have quite an entertaining, I'm saying they, but he does a really entertaining interview with Michael Cole sitting next to a urinal later on, where he's like legitimately having a conversation with him. I don't know, what do you, what do you mean, haha? Well, that sort of stuff is quite funny.
Yeah. I mean, talk about, living the gimmick. He has thrown himself into that character.
He's good. Like, we enjoyed him when he was in ECW as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
This is where this pay-per-view, like, just ironic that he's sitting next to a urinal, because it just goes down the toilet from here for me. We have got the bizarre one, Goldust, accompanied by the Blue Meanie, taking on the Intercontinental Champion, the Godfather. And it is at this point you realise that they've stopped giving a fuck about the Intercontinental Championship and all of its glory. The fucking Godfather. Now, I liked Papa Shango, but I was also 7. I did not like the Godfather, or the Good Father, or Kama Sutra, or whatever else he was. No. Why is he wearing the Intercontinental title?
Yeah, that's a really odd one. Yeah, this isn't like we we've covered a lot of stuff about Intercontinental champions, matches,
Mhm.
things like that over the years. No, this isn't going to be remembered as a classic or among the glory years for that title, unfortunately.
I'm sure JR even says something like, I wish I'd written down what he says, but he says something that's like one of the more bizarre Intercontinental title matches or something like that. So yes, we've got the Godfather. Like we said earlier, he's like obviously this is why he's got the title on him. He's ridiculously over because of his gimmick. People love to shout about the whole train, and what else does he say? Roll up a fatty for
Yeah,
your pimp daddy.
yeah.
Pimping ain't easy. Like just all of that. That's crazy. Would you say he's a limited wrestler?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think like I remember when I used to see him as part of the Nation, which I thought kind of worked. You know, he was all muscle, big guy, and you've got like
Imposing.
these other workers and this ridiculously over charismatic star with him in a group. I thought that worked. I thought
Uh-huh.
it was maybe the best use you would get out of someone like that. But as a solo performer and this gimmick, even, you know, I'm sure I was entertained by it again with my younger days. But now when I see it, I'm a bit like, well, what's the point? Why?
Mm. And on the other side, you've got Goldust being called Mommy by the Blue
Yeah,
Meanie.
I actually found the Blue Meanie the most entertaining thing about this, but it's just like how over the top he is. Because you've got him like he's he's constantly trying to. It's like he's just being mischievous in the early stages, just like lurking around, running around the ring and things like that. And you know he's going to end up inadvertently negatively impacting Goldust. Um, but yeah, it's just a bit shit, isn't it?
Hmm. I think they're going for comedy bout, which is fair enough, and there's room for that. I just didn't enjoy the actual participants. Um, Goldust tries to leave at one point. I think does Blue Meanie remind him that he can't win the title, and JR does the mocking.
Yeah,
JR
yeah.
does the mommy voice, and it made my skin crawl right off my skeleton. Anyway, for some reason, Goldust decides that he's going to throw powder of some description in the Godfather's face. It gets knocked into his eyes, sets off a whole comedy act where the Blue Meanie gets in the ring and ends up getting assaulted by
It's so bad.
Goldust. The Godfather hits the whole train, not physically, but that's the name of the move. And he does a Death Valley driver. Isn't it interesting that they never called his finisher a different pimp related name? They just call it a Death
There
Valley
must have
driver.
been quite a few possibilities you could have gone with there, but
Yeah. Could have called it like the Curb Crawl or something.
yeah,
Call me.
yeah,
Call
that
me
would work.
creative. You know when on Bruce Pritchard podcast when they'll ask him who is responsible for someone, they say creative services.
Yeah,
Is he meaning that's a joke, or
I really
is he
don't know.
legit
Like,
saying that there's like a department called creative services?
yeah, because he has said that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know. Because like it used to often be like to do with he would talk about say costume design
Mm-hmm.
or a promo package or something like that, and he'd just say, well, creative services. Yeah, maybe
Okay,
maybe there was a group of people.
maybe that sounds like
Yeah,
a good job.
yeah, I'd happily be paid to do something like that.
Okay. Anyway, Godfather retains. Thank God the belt is on such a illustrious champion, and hopefully, I've got a bit of information for you around the Intercontinental Belt and round about this time. So, previous pay per view WrestleMania, you had Billy Gunn competing for the hardcore title and Road Dogg competing for the Intercontinental title.
Yep.
Billy Gunn was supposed to win the IC title at the Royal Rumble, but he got really drunk the night before the Royal Rumble and told everybody and their granny that he was winning the title.
Oh, God.
So they soured on him for it, and as a punishment, put him in the hardcore scene. That doesn't sound right. And switched him round with Road Dogg.
Okay.
And that's how they both ended up sort of on the wrong path, because
Yeah,
it
does feel...
never looked right. Aye.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So there you go. Apparently so, anyway. Next up, we go backstage with Michael Cole in his jeans, no frosted tips. He's in the toilets while snow, like we just talked about. Unfortunately, we're back to the ring.
He calls Al Snow calls Michael Cole Todd.
I like that.
Yeah, he does go very Goodfellas Joe Pesci in that as well, which was amusing me. Yeah, that was good.
As soon as he started saying it, it brought back memories of having watched it, and I was starting to chuckle at that. Okay, our next match is a tag match to determine the number one contenders to take on the current tag team champions, who are Kane and X-Pac. It seems as if they came together. They're sort of like, you got screwed by Triple H and so did I, so we are friends, sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the New Age Outlaws taking on Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart, accompanied by Deborah. Sad fact, this would be the last pay-per-view that Owen Hart would wrestle on.
Very sad.
There's only one story for me to tell of this match, and it's the fact that I wanted to strangle Jerry Lawler with my bare hands.
He wouldn't shut up. I get it, right? Okay, he loves Deborah. He loves certain parts of her in particular, but yeah, maybe I didn't know whether we had to a little bit blame Road Dogg for this, because he's talking about at the start pre-match, and then King just, God, yeah.
I mean, she's wearing very little. I get it, and they get a massive pop for it. Jeff and Owen, but it's just non-stop.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, here boy, like, especially when he's got allegations of inappropriate behaviour and all that, and he's just acting like the sleaziest man on earth.
Yeah, you would think you wouldn't go there, but
don't make it part of your character.
Yeah, I bet Vince loved it though. He would have
100%.
loved every moment of it. I do have in my notes just how damn good Owen is in the ring.
Nice.
Like, everything he's doing in the ring just looks amazing.
A Billy Gunn Owen Hart match here might have been quite fun.
Yeah, because they're really putting over the strength of Billy Gunn here. He's the very clear power in the match, and yeah, Owen's the one showing off a lot of wrestling in it as well. So yeah, that would have probably been an interesting program.
Owen is kind of hamstrung by. I feel like at this point in time, he's just kind of like, like good in the ring, but there's no character.
Where do you? Because I know that they'd gone to him with the idea that he had a on-screen relationship with Deborah, and that would be the wedge between him and Jarrett, and then they would go into a program against each other.
Okay.
But he just didn't want anything to do with it, even just storyline or on screen. He didn't want to have a relationship with a woman on screen. So he said no, thank you, and then he's just kind of. It feels like he's just kind of drifting now.
You get a big nugget chant from the crowd at one point. I've got my notes here that Road Dogg might be one of the most decorated but least impressive in-ring wrestlers ever.
Yeah, he's never. I remember even thinking this back in the day, because everything about them. See, when they first sort of joined together and they were on the scene and they were doing all this controversial stuff before they even linked up with DX.
Sports jerseys and all that.
Yeah. It was more well, I suppose attitude is the word. It was kind of with Road Dogg about everything other than in ring, and I know he comes from the Armstrong family, very famous wrestling family. I don't think he's ever claimed to be like the best worker that went. I think he thought of himself as entertaining, and that probably adds up to what we see.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's different because if you're watching the shows week to week, you probably we did love these guys.
Mhm.
They're hilarious and always up to nonsense and winding people up and all that. Really entertaining. But it's funny when you get to doing what we're doing and you pick a NXT pay-per-view and you're watching something in isolation and the wrestling's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you watch something like this and it's almost like taking the full context out of something and just
Mhm.
watching it on its own merits. But this was all built on story and all built on character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the likes of Austin say on his Broken Skull sessions, like if you look at the Attitude Era and you look at the in-ring now and in the last few years, there's absolutely no comparison. They're so much better, the performers in-ring now than they were. They're just maybe at times let down by the story, which doesn't give them enough, and you can see it. I mean, I think the fact that the good ones really stand out. The Benoit's, Angles, Owens, the Brett, they so stand out, and it's because what's around them isn't always all that good.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think there's not much to go into. With this, I can go with the Outlaws followed quite a similar template. Every match they had, the Road Dogg would eventually get isolated, get the hot tag, and Billy Gunn would show off his strength and athleticism and take both guys out.
Yep.
There's not much more to it, really. Deborah
Yeah.
would get up on the apron every now and again. Do you know what I did find quite funny is like, it's almost like she really wants to show off.
Yeah, I think that's how they were playing it, wasn't it? She was really
She
eager to do
wants
it.
to.
Jarrett was dead against it, and that was part of making him get booed by the crowd.
It's so funny because it's like there's not even a person in there. It's just like
Yeah,
a robot that's been like pointed in one direction. That's really harsh. It's just the character she's playing.
Yeah.
And that's maybe why she got the frying pan, I can. But I'm sorry, that's inappropriate. What? But no, it's just funny the way she's like just smiling and like, oh yes, I could do that. And Jarrett, that's why Jarrett's getting heat, like you said. But,
yeah.
Towards the end of the match, Owen slaps on a sharpshooter on Road Dogg. Billy Gunn hits a famouser. And the Outlaws get the win. And they will go on to take on Kane and X-Pac for the tag team titles at...
Oh, God.
I've got the answer. You don't have to sit and Google it.
I don't know
testing
what
you,
show's
Adam.
next. I don't know.
Okay. They will take on X-Pac and Kane at the first ever SmackDown.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So remember they did like a one-off SmackDown in like April, and then they started it from like August or something like that, maybe even November or something. It's that April SmackDown.
Nice.
And that's when Billy Gunn turns heel.
Okay.
On Road Dogg.
Okay.
Because Road Dogg doesn't want to fight with X-Pac or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh yeah, because they were all still aligned, weren't they? They were all still on side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never really worked out for Billy Gunn, did it?
Now, I remember hearing a funny thing. Again, it was probably on a Bruce Pritchard one where they were saying that they tried to give him the push, and I remember he won a King of the Ring, didn't he?
Yeah. This year, 99, I think.
He had a program with The Rock and all that. They were giving it a go, but Bruce Pritchard kept going back to this thing about him being asthmatic, and I'm like thinking, I'm asthmatic. I could be world champion, but But yeah, it sounded like it was a big thing in their minds that, working basically half a match, and especially the way they used to do it, where Road Dogg probably worked about 75% of each match. Maybe that is what suited him from a health point of view as
Really
well as everything
interesting,
else.
that.
Yeah.
And then you think of matches they had. Remember, they had the dumpster match with Chainsaw and Cactus Jack, and you wonder if something like that is really difficult for them rather than
Yeah.
a normal,
Yeah.
normal match. Aye, and do you remember that? Was it him that brought out like this really odd-looking woman, or was it The Rock that brought out the odd-looking woman under
I can't
a
remember
blanket?
which way round it was. It was definitely all about that program, but I can't remember which way.
I've had nightmares about that woman. She's terrifying. Sorry if she's listening. We thought you did a stellar job. Okay, we go backstage. Michael Cole again. He's with Miles Teller. Or is it Shane McMahon? Shane is full on cocksure himself at this moment in time, isn't he?
Yeah, like I think I quite like the way he's playing this because he very much in the position he's is where it's almost like I'll take over. Dad's got stuff going on, whatever. I'll
Stupid
show you how it's
Stephanie.
done. Yeah, and he's really leaning into the cocky bastard, unless he just is. And I think we've had our thoughts about that after his Royal Rumble performance a year and a bit ago. But yeah, he's playing it well here as I think exactly the character they wanted him to be.
He said, basically, Cole asks him, "Can you be impartial as a guest referee?" And he gives his word on his grandfather's grave, possibly, that he will count the 1, 2, 3 if Austin puts Rock's shoulders to the mat. And then, I love that. So the fact that he brought up his granddad, and then we go backstage straight away with Kevin Kelly, who is like, he's acting like he's like, I don't know, he's acting like he's interviewing the Queen or something. He's acting really weird anyway. He's with Vince and Stephanie. They've got the police presence. And Kevin Kelly asks Vince what he thinks about Shane invoking the name of Vincent. What is his?
Was it Vincent J? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And Vince just kind of like closes his eyes and shakes his head. And Stephanie says, Shane knows how much Grandpop meant to Dad.
Oh, brilliant.
And if that was Kevin Kelly, I would have said, I don't think Grandpop meant that much to Dad, given he went completely against everything that Grandpop stood for when he bought the business off him for $1.
I can't believe you're questioning Kevin Kelly's journalistic integrity. I did like where Vince says that he is looking after his family rather than worrying about WWE right now, and just sort of thinking the stuff that's gone on over the last year or so, that just seemed hilarious to me.
All of this, I really enjoy this. This whole like loving father character that Vince has just on a dime turned on and suddenly become.
I think I kind of forgot about the fact that there was like this sort of really innocent stage of Stephanie as well, because I remember her when she ended up aligned with Triple H, and then the two of them basically running the show and all that, and just being a total bitch at every possible opportunity. But right in these early stages, she was playing a sort of sweet, innocent character.
Totally, almost to the point of too sweet. Oh, brother, for life. But it's almost over the top. This, oh no!
Yeah.
Don't say the word Grandpop on anything that I ever watch ever again, please. Yeah, we'll come back to Vince and his behaviour.
No, I don't want to.
On the lips. Okay. Next matchup is set in the boiler room. It's going to be a brawl. Now, this is a rematch from WrestleMania 15, isn't it? Big Show and Mankind had a
yeah,
it
was.
match to decide who would be guest referee.
Yeah, that's right.
Big Show must have been aligned with the corporation at that point.
He was.
He's not
I
here.
think, did he not? Vince, because he got himself disqualified in that match, didn't he? So Mankind would be the ref, and Vince, I think, had a go at him for it, ended up slapping him or something like that, and maybe, I think that was maybe the end of their relationship, those two.
Were you aware that they signed him on a 10-year deal when they signed him from
Yeah,
WCW?
I'd heard that somewhere at some point. It seems insane. But yeah.
That is amazing. The thing is, like, I think if we ever, we've talked about doing fantasy booking episodes and all that.
Mhm.
I think, well, maybe not calling them the Big Show is the first step in that, but I think somewhere in there, Paul Wight had potential to be like a really dominant champion.
But I remember, see, when he was in WCW, he was obviously massive, but he could move as well. And
He did a drop kick in one of the matches.
yeah. I don't know how quickly that. Maybe WWE didn't want him doing stuff like that. Maybe they don't want their huge guys to be leaving the ground in that kind of way. But I always remember thinking it was really impressive when he was doing that kind of thing. But yeah, he always felt like a massive missed opportunity because, they bring him in. It's the Valentine's Day Massacre, wasn't it?
Valentine's Day Massacre.
And where they could have gone with it, but all of a sudden it just didn't seem that long before he was being like written as a bit of a buffoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here he is here. I mean, Mankind's like Kane in that he can be anywhere on the card and it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess he's paired here with Mankind in that. But this, I've wrote. Okay, I've got 3 things written here, and the third thing is what happens at the very end. The first one is, dude, we can't take notes on this. My second one is, I don't like this. I don't understand how you can have scheduled on the card a hardcore title match that goes all around backstage and all that, and then only 2 or 3 matches later, another match is pretty much the exact same.
This was terrible, though. Like, I've got a few notes. I've got Big Show's dominating. They keep lifting shit up and putting over Mankind's head. I've got Mankind has fallen through glass about 5 times. Why can't he stop falling through glass? It's as if he's aiming for it. Yeah. I just thought this was awful.
It's just a mess. It's just no entertaining to watch. I genuinely so Mankind cuts his hand at one point when the glass is used, and there's so much blood that you think he probably is going to need an ambulance. And at that point, if I hadn't already wanted to switch off, I was just like, this is no entertaining at all. Come to find out that it was fake blood.
Oh, really?
I thought it was. I thought it was legit. So there you go, being worked. But it's essentially just the Big Show throwing him about a room.
Yeah, and I've seen the Big Show do this before. Like, I remember there was a hardcore match between him, Kane, and Raven.
Yes.
And basically, they were throwing Raven about for most of them. But for some reason, I found that quite entertaining. And just this wasn't.
Was that Mania 7? That was Mania 17.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
That had Raven in it though.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
This did not.
I really like Mankind and always have, but there's just nothing here.
Do you know what? I hate to say it out loud, but I think this put me off Mankind, like big style. Have you ever seen that interview with Hogan, where they I think that Canadian TSN show? I think it might be on that. And they ask him about Mick Foley, and he's like, "All due respect, brother," and all this sort of stuff, and then completely trashes him. And he's basically talking about him being like a glorified stuntman.
Okay, and I know
Uh,
Flair said that as well.
Oh, really? Has he?
Yeah.
I don't think he is that, but I think he's possibly became that.
I remember there were two matches. He had a match with Shawn Michaels and he had a match with Triple H, and I thought that they were both brilliant. And I thought I came out of those matches believing both those guys could take punishment, which I hadn't really thought of them as that type going in. So it kind of elevated them. Those, when I think of Foley, those are the two matches that sort of stand out in my mind.
Okay, so yeah, like take his program and his relationship with The Rock, stuff like what you've just talked about. He has a brilliant match with Vader in WCW at Halloween Havoc. You know when they used to spin the wheel?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like a Texas death match or something. This is different from those. Those are wrestling matches with elements of bumps and taking punishment. This is maybe what I'm thinking. I'm soured on.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that, sorry, go on.
I get that because there isn't there is no match around it. Basically, it's just a couple of guys fighting in a room and then in some other various areas. I don't know why it's so bad because I was thinking, would this have been taped beforehand?
Must have been,
yeah. So how could they not have made it good? did they know it was shit? I don't know.
Maybe at the time we thought it was amazing. Like, look at what he's doing to him.
Maybe.
I feel like stuff like this is the reason why. This is a total ridiculous statement, but I genuinely feel like stuff like this is the reason that current wrestling's shit. Because they're doing stupid stuff to try and do the same as what they've seen years ago when they've been young.
And how can you top that? You know, how can you top? Yeah, I remember that argument being made when he was thrown off the cell by Undertaker as well. You know, if the theory is you've got to have a better match or a better show the next week, how can you top that? You know, you have to get absolutely ridiculous to be getting anywhere near.
And that is, probably not so much WWE, but I'm immediately thinking a match between Adam Cole and Hangman Page on AEW. They're a Texas death match, and one of them has got barbed wire wrapped around their head, and I think I sent it to you, do like a Canadian destroyer on the other one through a table.
Yeah.
And that's just like on their weekly TV show.
Yeah. At least save it for pay-per-view if you have to do it.
It's just mental. It's mental. Anyway, we're getting deep there. It's all your fault, Mick Foley. Eventually, Foley ends up with a neat little trick where he buries Paul Wight under a bunch of pipes and crawls to Teddy Long, who opens the door for him, player. And here's the winner. And that's it. And then Test and the Boss Man come out of nowhere and start attacking him.
Yeah.
Big Show helps him run them off. So, yeah, absolute, just not even really worth talking about.
Yeah, terrible.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. This reminded me of that stupid halftime heat thing he had with The Rock, where he was just like throwing him down the steps of a stadium as well. Yeah. It's just like, how much punishment can he possibly take? That must have been that would be the same year because they had the Rumble match at '99, and then that would be what would that be? Super Bowl halftime.
Yeah.
Fun times. I think we cut to Kevin Kelly again. It's either Kevin Kelly or Todd. He is with China, a very angry China. Triple H is just in the background getting himself ready. But what's the heat with China? Why is she hate X-Pac so much?
She seems furious. The story seems to be they're calling X-Pac ungrateful reminding him that there's a pecking order, and he is down it. They talk about the fact, and then JR sells this in the match as well, the fact that they brought him back, and they're very clearly the ones that turned, but the kind of the way they talk about it
So it's
is
his
as if
fault.
it was him. Yeah.
We got you over.
Yeah.
What does that mean to a casual wrestling fan watching this? Got you over what? Your bout of flu?
I wonder when I first heard it, without maybe obviously knowing, maybe I didn't know certain phrases like "got you over." Did they just mean come over, come on, come from
Well, we come.
WCW, come on?
Do you remember Triple H had the "over, damn right I'm over" T-shirt?
Yeah.
I bet I never knew what that meant at the time.
Nah, I don't think I did.
We then get Triple H says, "I made your ass, I'm going to break your ass." Very good. Must mention body parts below the torso. A really weird backstage segment, which I remember. So I had the video of this, and this was on the video of this. So this feels like a little bit extra.
Coliseum home video.
Yeah, there you go. Extra stuff with the Big Show. He's getting stitches in his hand. His hand is like elephantitis to the nth degree. I don't want to fight the Big Show anymore. Then we go to Mankind.
I found the Mankind Mick Foley stuff really weird because I couldn't tell if he was like, at first I thought, is he being Mick Foley here? Because it rather than be the character, because he is basically saying, I don't want to have that match anymore. I don't want that anymore. I'm done with that. And then he's like pointing out what happened where in the. It was really weird.
It almost felt like an extra from Beyond the Mat or something.
Yeah, strange.
It was really weird. A wee bonus for us, for those of us that weren't enjoying the pay-per-view. Here's something extra.
There was one bit that made me laugh when he was talking about where something bad happened to him, and he was like, but we're not going to talk about that. This is where I buried the Big Show and stuff like that.
Okay, back to the ring. And just one last thing to note in the Boiler Room Brawl, apparently that they had to dub out the crowd who were getting more and more bored and rowdy watching that match and booing it quite a lot because they expected to see people. Maybe they expect them to come out of the Boiler Room and make their way out there, but they never got to see them. So apparently they were booing hell out of it, and that probably explains why the next match had such little crowd interaction, but maybe it's just the shit match as well. So the next match is X-Pac v Triple H, and I never, maybe it's just looking back now, but even when I never felt that Triple H fitted in the corporation. If he was the leader. To me, he was the leader of DX, and then he was just sort of like standing next to The Rock, and I always remember thinking that felt weird. And I never really felt that him and X-Pac were on the same level either. And like this match never really made any sense to me at all. It's a bit like if The Rock and Farouk ever had a blow-off match. It feels a bit like that. They never ever did that, I don't think.
So yeah, I suppose that the story going into it's fine, but what you would probably be looking for is Triple H to like definitively go
Smash him
over
up
and just end this because I have bigger things to be getting on with.
1,000%.
Yeah,
that's exactly my problem with this. Was like I've got it written in my notes: is who is this designed to elevate? Is this designed to elevate X-Pac to like main event status or like upper card? Because if it is, it doesn't even make a very good job of that either, because he looks like a little weakling.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the thing with him was always he wouldn't give up. He'd take a hell of a beating. He's good in the ring. He knows what he's doing. He's good at selling and all that kind of thing. But I think he was probably always one of them that was thought of in ring as like a steady hand. You put somebody in to have matches and they'll get a match out of people. But yeah, I think I can see your point, because surely when you move Triple H out of that situation where he was the leader of DX, unless you're gonna build him to, I suppose, either build him to the point where he has reasonable cause to have issue with The Rock being the leader in the corporation and wants that spot, or you're having a turn where he sections off against the corporation and, you know, is elevated to the point where he can go with Austin or someone like that, you know, have those matches. But yeah, I was thinking about this after you mentioned it to me, and I thought, well, maybe, you know, because they're buddies, maybe Triple H didn't want to bury him, or, you know, just things like that. I was that crossed my mind, but then I was thinking, surely he would see the logic in doing it. Yeah, it is strange. I mean, I get the reason for having the match. I get the story. I think it probably was a mistake to put him in the corporation. I don't think they needed to move him out of the DX environment when they did. I think he was getting over really strong, and the group worked as it was. They maybe jumped the gun a bit on that. And I think from where he was in DX, he could get to main event level as the leader of that group and then break away from them without joining another group, just go off on his own.
Yep. No, I agree. You could quite easily have DX taking the mickey out of the ministry, taking the mickey out of the Undertaker or the corporation. That is quite odd. Maybe they were thinking the Rock must heel. The Rock must face turn. Some point at this year. Maybe they're thinking Rock turns face, Triple H is sort of like your main corporation guy, but then they go corporate ministry as well, don't they? Higher powers Vince and all that. The teddy bear!
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, dear. dear. Going back to what we're saying, I think I text you saying, well, who's this meant to elevate? Because X-Pac's essentially getting his ass kicked, but also Triple H is needing China, like so much interference from China. It worked when he was chicken shitty 1996-97 heel.
Yeah.
No so much here if we're supposed to be taking him seriously.
Yeah.
As what I think we're supposed to be taking him seriously.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. The main theme of this pay-per-view.
Yeah, because they actually had a point where X-Pac hits the X Factor, didn't they? But there's no ref.
Yep.
And then there's the low blow by China. And then we got Kane coming out as well.
Yeah. Kane comes out, and the crowd are going absolutely wild at the prospect of him chokeslamming China, which I suppose it says a lot about the heat that China's getting.
Yeah.
But JR is firmly on the fuck China train. She wants to be treated like a man. But our music says, don't treat me like a woman, don't treat me like a man. So he's not getting the message.
Maybe JR's the guy, if he's like head of talent relations, that's having to listen to her demanding a pay rise and get paid the same as Steve Austin and stuff like that. So
well, if you ever listen to JR's podcast and he's talked about China, he's hilarious when he talks about China. He hated that woman. Yeah. Oh, she's such a nice woman. But by God! And then he goes off on a rant about her. She come into his office and moan to him and groan to him, complain about not getting paid. I don't want to go like move for move or anything like that, because this feels like Triple H from like, I don't know, 98 to 2000, whenever he stopped wrestling. Triple H doing old school moves. It's just all a bit rubbish. It kind of gives credence to that whole line of thought that Triple H needed to be in the ring with somebody that he cared about.
Yeah.
Didn't care about X-Pac, really.
Yeah, that's maybe true.
Triple H wins this via pedigree.
Yeah, just after X-Pac had Bronco bastard China. that's your favourite move in clearly one of your favourite ever matches. That's good times.
Yeah, indeed. And you never X-Pac doesn't come out with a tag team title on or anything
Don't
like
think
that.
so. No.
Quite weird.
Yeah.
Anywho, I think that's the longest match on the card. Triple H getting in there early. Must have started dating Stephanie by this point. Okay. Zero build up to this next match, which I was surprised about. I thought we might get a little video package about Shamrock and Undertaker, because it seems like there's been storyline involving Ryan, Shamrock and the Undertaker, and him trying to crucify her and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a weird match, and I'm quite interested to get your thoughts on it because the crowd couldn't have given a flying fuck about it. But I think if we'd been watching this in 2002, they'd have been all over it.
Do you know, there were bits of this I didn't hate. There were bits of this that I thought were shit. Like they're constantly, referencing the Undertaker and his group and his followers and all that, and that's fine. I think at the time, Shamrock is seen as one of the loyal lieutenants to Vince, or to the corporation anyway. You get quite a lot of attempts by Undertaker to counter some Shamrock submission style moves, which we've talked about before as always seeming really weird. I don't know, it doesn't fit. It doesn't seem right when you see Undertaker doing stuff like that. But the bits of this that I did quite like is when it was Undertaker power and Shamrock grabbing an arm, grabbing a leg, things like that, just trying to win his way. So those bits of the match I thought worked. But I'm just not really into seeing some of the stuff Undertaker was doing in this match.
Weird. Especially the character he's playing at this point is this, like we spoke about earlier, satanic cult leader type character, which, given his size, you think you would be seeing in-ring, powerful, overpowering, smashing him up, but instead he's doing drop toe holds.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I've got here, this seems to be a weird opportunity to show us that Undertaker's watched a UFC event before.
Yeah.
I liked what you liked as well. There's times where Undertaker's got Shamrock up for the choke slam, and he holds onto the arm and reverses it into an armbar. It's just incredible and really innovative for its time, I think. And years forward, we'll see likes of Benoit, probably Angle doing stuff like that, and think it's amazing. I do think Shamrock was ahead of his time. The crowd just didn't care.
Yeah. I think on paper, I probably would have been quite enthusiastic for this. I liked Shamrock. Shamrock brought something different. It always felt like he brought something different. And Undertaker's Undertaker. But yeah, I mean, I've got things in my notes saying Taker's acting like he's Stu Hart in the dungeon with Shamrock as one of his new students. And I've got, why the fuck is Taker locking in a half Boston Crab on Shamrock?
It was odd, and this was quite long as well.
Yeah.
Something that right towards the end there I was a little confused about, and I'm being pedantic, but Shamrock hits a belly to belly on Undertaker, which is quite a big move on a big guy. But then he goes to pick him up into a tombstone type maneuver.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
That didn't make any sense, Ken. And that was immediate. That was the finish, wasn't it? Because he turned him over, as we've seen happen a few times, and hit his own tombstone. And then
what would his sister girlfriend say about that? She'd be devastated.
Yeah, I think she'd be a bit concerned about Bradshaw as well.
Yes, indeed. Well, Bradshaw comes down right towards the end, doesn't he? And he's standing
Mm-hmm.
menacing with a baseball bat. He then, afterwards, he gets the nod from Undertaker. After Undertaker's tombstone Shamrock and got the win, he gets the nod. He waits for the nod like a good boy, then goes in and starts fake choking out Shamrock with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Probably making sure that he doesn't actually hurt him.
Yeah.
It's a bit stinking. Bit horrible, really.
Yeah.
Doesn't do much for Shamrock.
Nah. Just a bit of a waste of time.
I wonder if the whole going against the incest angle was like the end for Shamrock.
Maybe. Yeah.
You hear that, don't you?
Yeah.
Guys say no to things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You always hear that, if somebody says no to different ideas, like a few different ideas, they'll just stop coming up with them for them. So, yeah.
I've read Shamrock's book, and he admits that like he wasn't taking it seriously. He was drinking and doing drugs and turning up late for shows and all that sort of stuff round about this time. His heart wasn't in it.
There was stuff in JR's book as well, wasn't there, about him basically having to tell Shamrock, look, you miss another show or you turn up in no condition to work, I'll fine you, all that. And I'm sure JR references the fact that he's sitting there saying it to somebody who he knows could just kill him. Absolutely kill him.
That's class. I feel like Shamrock's a missed opportunity. Big
Yeah.
story. I'm sure we've talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how, what do you think Shamrock was better, as a heel or a face?
I enjoyed him as a face when Rock was the heel. I thought that, but then their dynamic just always worked. I don't know. They
So carried by a strong character either way.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe it's a bit rose tinted just because the matches with them always seemed to work. It just seemed
they were great.
Yeah.
Maybe what about a Shamrock Mankind program?
That'd be interesting because you could have him like destroying him and doing all his submissions, and Mankind doing I'm not going to tap out, obviously. Yeah.
Unable to make him seem like he's hurting him.
Yeah, could leave him an absolute mess, but yeah, just wouldn't give up.
Mankind keeps trying to be his friend. That could work. Too late now, but
Yeah.
Okay, so that what?
I've just seen what we're heading towards.
What are we heading towards? I think. Hold on. Oh yes, I do have it. So why don't you talk us through? Is this when we go backstage?
Yeah, so we've got a bit of a package on the go first, where we see
Val Venus.
We see Austin win the belt at Mania. Vince is absolutely devastated. Got some of the great, I love this stuff, interactions between Rock and Austin, and Rock throwing Austin off a bridge and throwing his belt in, or apparently throwing his belt in after him. Rock throwing like a funeral for Austin.
Yeah.
And
dearly beloved piece of trash.
But he's wearing the Smoking Skull belt all along. Didn't throw that in after him. Austin running over Rock's car in the monster truck, that kind of stuff. I loved that. Absolutely loved it.
Amazing.
We see some stuff with Shane getting a bit physical with Austin as well. So how the hell is he going to be impartial in this as referee in this match? And then, oh no, we've got Vince sending Stephanie into a car. He
does not say give Daddy a kiss, does he?
No, I think you maybe made that up. Just to add some extra creepiness to it. But
he does say give me a kiss, though.
Yeah, and he does kiss her on the lips, and it's really creepy.
No, she gives him a wee peck on the cheek, and he says, on the lips.
Why?
And she gives him a kiss on the lips. It's maybe one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, if I had been enjoying this show up to that point, that might have soured it for me, but...
Why does it... What is this behaviour?
I don't know. I don't know.
Uh-uh.
No.
He wants to do incest angles between Shamrock and his sister girlfriend. He wants to do incest angles between Stephanie and Shane. He wanted Stephanie when she was pregnant. He wanted it to be his baby.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this man? Well,
Many, many things.
what would Grandpop say? He would not like it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, let's
So-
move on.
WrestleMania 15 rematch. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the champion, taking on The Rock, special guest referee Shane McMahon. Do you smell what The Rock comes out? He gets a kind of like, yes, we're getting to see The Rock type pop.
Yeah,
He's such a good heel, the best heel,
yeah,
the best.
it's amazing.
I think he's got the smoking skull belt with him. He's dragging it all on the ground.
Yep.
He's just full on cocky, does not give a shit.
Yeah.
Can you imagine The Rock ever coming back? He seems to be this happy, smiley, walking product of a man these days.
Yeah.
Imagine him just coming back and being like that. Be so good.
Yeah, like I think it would. I think it would work. I suppose the thing I've always had in my mind, because it would have to be to face Roman Reigns if he came back, and I would want to boo The Rock in that situation,
Mhm.
but I imagine a lot of the crowd would be very happy to cheer him, even if he was being this. Just basically who he is now. It's certainly who he appears to be through like a social media eye or whatever. But I would want to boo that, but I don't know. Would it be booed? I don't know.
I think people like the tribal chief. The tribal chief character's almost like what the heel Rock was like now, where he's got catchphrases that people like.
And I suppose there's that spectacle of seeing that person, and also these days respect as well. And it's I think always that bit harder to boo someone who you respect.
So it would be really ironic if The Rock ever came back and he was being all, exactly what you're saying. Drink my Terramana tequila and whatever. And they booed him and cheered Roman Reigns after everything that's went on over the years. It'd be pretty ironic. But anyway, The Rock is in the ring. We got Shane coming out. The Rock is in the ring. And then there's just that sort of quiet. And they do the crowd pan, glass shatter. Your TV falls off the wall because of the pop. Amazing.
Insane.
And Austin's just, I don't know. There's something amazing about watching him walking out like that.
Didn't even have to, I remember Raws where he wouldn't really do much. He'd walk out, the glass would shatter, and it's still the moment on the show. The crowd are so just up for seeing him. I remember watching one of the interesting things, because it's a while since I've watched Mania 15, and I remember thinking going into Mania 15 that The Rock wasn't on Austin's level.
Wow.
Like as a younger guy watching that, I remember thinking this is, but who is on Austin's level? So you have to have someone. But I do think they've done quite a good job of elevating The Rock and making him I think this match he seemed almost are very close to being Austin's level, which they've done a really good job of, because I think not that long before I would have thought, he's not there yet, but they've done well with it.
I think I agree actually, but it's that kind of Batman and Joker thing where Austin probably wouldn't have been as big if he didn't have a good nemesis. I think Austin Rock is like the rivalry of our lifetime. Yeah, probably. I laugh when I see doing these A&E shows on rivalries, The Rock and John Cena, and it's just because of what I watched and what I didn't watch. Yeah, but I just think because it was
like in in the early stages, it was very much Austin McMahon, but you
Mhm.
needed someone to be in the ring
Mhm.
with Austin, having the matches with him. And they picked the right guy, and they did very well at elevating him where that seemed a realistic feud. Because
Yeah, 100%.
it's almost a little bit like totally different storyline and situation, but it's almost a bit like with Roman Reigns now. He's been so he has been the main man, you know, for so long now, being in the best storyline for so long. How do you actually get it to a stage where it's believable that someone
Somebody
will
could be
go in
him.
and take that title off him?
Yeah,
It's must be hard to do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really enjoy this match either. I enjoyed the camera spot.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I didn't really enjoy much else of it.
Okay. I quite enjoyed it. Like, again, I think because I was watching thinking, how are they going to position The Rock within this match? And I thought, well, there's going to be some silliness because obviously, even if you don't believe The Rock is on his level, Shane McMahon's a special ref. So, regardless of that, you fully believe that it's totally realistic for Rock to take this title
Mhm.
in this match.
Mhm.
But I thought they did quite well of letting The Rock have a lot of offense. So I think the bit you're thinking of, Rock puts Austin on the announce table, takes camera from the cameraman. Rock films Austin as he calls him a piece of trash, flips him off, and then he pans the crowd. And as he turns back, Austin catches him and then hits the stunner while Rock's still got the camera.
Yep,
I like
absolutely
that.
amazing. One of the
Yeah,
best spots. One of the best spots ever.
yeah,
Underrated. That like
yeah.
brilliant.
That was good. That was good.
I've written down there. Whoever thought of that's an absolute genius.
Because we had seen a few times Rock, he'd take the headset and then he'd take a
Yeah,
camera, and he'd done
aye,
that before. But yeah, to actually have a move executed on him in a totally realistic way because his view's impaired by what he can see through
uh-huh.
the camera. It was really good. Really
And
good.
even like the stunner works with them still
Uh-huh.
holding the camera.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Awesome.
amazing.
Yep.
Proper brilliant. Like this match is pretty similar to a lot of Austin Attitude Era matches. It's the whole such and such announced on Sunday Night Heat that it will be a no holds bar match.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fighting up the aisle, across the set, in the crowd, all that. It's not so much a wrestling match. And in fact, JR says, "This is not a wrestling match, folks." And I've wrote,
JR
indeed.
is furious with this situation Austin's in. Like the peril his title's in. But he's in he's. I've definitely watched somebody else recently where he's doing that's a damn shame. It's talking about how unfair it all is on Austin.
Class.
Um, he's such a good announcer, JR. Um, I've got a few notes on a few more spots.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Shane is starting to be a bit of a little dick. Austin goes flying into him and knocks him down, and there had been a stipulation, and we were told about this, that if Austin laid his hands on Shane, he'd be stripped of the title.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, rock bottom by Rock, Shane Shane puts Rock's arm over Austin, then counts the two, but Austin kicks out.
Mm-hmm.
Shane has the bell. This was maybe a wee bit predictable, really winding up to hit Austin with it. Austin ducks, Shane KOs the Rock with the belt. Shane this definitely happened more than once. Shane counts the one, then the two, then
Yeah.
stops and flips Austin off.
Yep.
And the other one I remember being a bit more like he kind of stayed in the position for longer, flipping him off, and before realizing that he was in a world of trouble. This one, he just very quickly gets out of the ring after
Yep.
doing it. Vince walking down with the actual referee, Earl Hebner, and Vince has the Smoking Skull belt, which Shane had said to put in his office just before the match started.
Yep.
Yeah. Vince with a very dominant shoulder barge on Shane. as
That's
he
funny.
as he walks past him. Shane's really, really annoyed at Vince getting involved in this situation and having the belt. And Vince he runs through Shane with that belt. He like
Oof.
properly hits him and then follows through, knocking him down onto the floor.
It's funny, you can see Shane wanting to take the hit, so he kind of puts his head down and closes his
Yeah.
eyes.
Rocks up. I think, although I don't know if I caught it clearly, I think he hit Austin with the other belt. And Hebner's in to make the count, but Austin kicks out at 2. Rock has the belt again. Austin kicks him, hits the stunner. Rock doesn't go down, staggers about as he did more than once when he got a stunner. And Austin then flattens him with the belt. Cover by Austin. 1, 2, 3. Retains the title. And Austin is holding up 2 belts at the end of the night.
Quite a good visual. Like all
Yeah.
that.
Well, I was saying at the end of the night. We're not quite at the end of the night.
We're not. No. So we pan to Stephanie we pan to Stephanie in the limousine, or at least getting in the limousine.
Yeah.
And then all the acolytes and fully clothed Midian and all that start coming out. Oh, Stephanie! And started banging on the limousine.
Can you imagine if there was anyone that listened to this that didn't know that naked Midian had been a thing? It would be so confused by you saying fully clothed Midian.
The irony is, he looks like he's wearing pajamas. I always think. So, like, naked Midian's just the next progression in the clock for him. Anyway, they're like, security are like, driver, just go. And she's like, we have to wait, driver. We have to wait for my dad, for Pop. And then the partition comes down, and the Undertaker does the most dramatic turnaround anybody's ever done in their life. He nearly gives himself whiplash. Where to, Stephanie? And she screams her head off. That's an iconic thing. I remember.
I love
people
that.
talk about that.
There were people like I had when I was at college, which I would have been when this was on. There's like one other guy in my year in my course that he was a wrestling fan, and I remember we would just like you'd be on the beers sitting just like in my flat or something like that. I'd suddenly do the turn. Where to, Stephanie?
Amazing. Definitely did the same. That's so funny. It's so over the top. It's like full on camp. But I think he did it again later, in later years with Teddy Long. I saw a wee video earlier.
Okay.
He doesn't say where to, Teddy, but he says something like it.
I was like the way this plays out, because you've got Vince who's quite pleased that he's done what he felt he needed to do in ring, but he seems totally oblivious to this happening, which led me to believe it wasn't shown on the Titantron to the crowd at home. It must have only been shown on to the pay-per-view audience.
Quite weird, that, eh?
Yeah.
Because they do pan back to Vince and he's no idea.
Yeah.
It's quite a weird dynamic because obviously Vince and Austin have been feuding for about 2 years or something at this point, or a year and a half or something.
Yeah.
He's then helped Austin get the win. You've got him. It's all over the place a little bit, but I don't know if it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I was questioning that in my mind because, he was always so dead against Austin winning. He seemed very happy for Rock to win and was trying to help him win at 15. And then I thought, well, he's obviously thinking his son's gone a little bit out of control with this sort of extra responsibility. But is that enough for him to suddenly want his long-running arch enemy to be champion? But probably best not to overthink it.
Well, somebody should have told Vince Russo that when they decided that Vince was going to be the higher power.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's me, Austin. It was me, Austin, all along. How does that work like?
Terrible.
Right, Adam. I asked you at the start, what's the best era of wrestling? This is representative. I would say that this is, like I said, we're on. Maybe WrestleMania 17 is. A lot of people say WrestleMania 17 is the end of the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I agree with that, but it's roundabout. So
Okay.
roundabout here, WrestleMania 15, I think is probably roundabout the top of the peak of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best era of wrestling? Having watched this show,
It wasn't good. Ruthless Aggression? There was some better in-ring work in Ruthless Aggression. I remember that.
think about us watching SummerSlam 2002. How good was that show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was awesome.
I just wonder if the ruthless. I think the same. I wonder if the ruthless. Oh God, be good if I could say it. The Ruthless Aggression era. I just wonder if, in retrospect, it's just a bit better to go back and watch. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, there's definitely some moments from it that I've got in my mind. I mean, the whole storyline with, initially with Triple H and Orton as part of Evolution, and then becoming Triple H and Batista, which I thought was a great storyline. So yeah, there was some. So they obviously still had story as well as maybe some better in-ring stuff as well. Yeah,
it's easy to say though, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some stuff I love from Hogan and Savage and stuff like that, which is
of course
years and years ago. So yeah, there's probably good and bad in all of it, I assume. And there's definitely something in my mind that always makes me go Attitude Era. But yeah, a lot of it was clearly trash.
The thing is, we've watched good at pay-per-views from '98, and I think 2000 is a good year generally.
Yeah.
WrestleMania probably aside, it just seems like 1999 just went full-on madness.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what it used to be. Like everybody's got a gimmick, but no longer do they have like a blue-collar working gimmick. It needs to be raunchy as fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not aged very well. So I apologise for picking that. I thought that would be a good one. I think I really enjoyed it as a kid.
Yeah.
Say as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I was 18, so yeah. I should have known better, but I'm sure I enjoyed it as well.
So that was Backlash 1999. Tough going. The thing was, I was originally going to go with Vengeance 2005, wasn't I? Batista Triple H.
Bet it's amazing.
Oh well. Okay, your pick next.
Okay.
Tell me. I know what you're doing, but tell me what you're doing.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we are going to watch and discuss both nights of WrestleMania 39, which is going to be on in just a couple of weeks. Well, a week and a half.
Yeah, 1st and 2nd April. Yep.
So I know, I will admit, I know very little about the card. I know what the main event is.
Okay.
I'd heard stories about Brock v. Homos. Yeah, I think did I hear something about? Is it Austin Theory against John Cena? Is that a thing?
Yes, I've got the card in front of me here. Yep.
I'm quite intrigued by that actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm intrigued in that. I kind of hope. You remember when Cena came back and he was like having his matches with like Finn Balor and Kevin Owens and stuff like that, and
I love the way you say Finn Balor.
He was, he also had a really good match with I can't remember who it was now, but I remember his Owens one really clearly.
Okay.
And he would give them a lot he would let them dominate matches.
Yeah.
He had a good match with Sami Zayn, but unfortunately he injured himself really
Oh,
early
really?
on. But yeah, and I'm kind of hoping he is being brought back to elevate Austin Theory. Um,
Yeah, and he's done a couple of things on TV with him and all that.
okay.
I don't know. It's funny. I'm realizing that I've not really watched a lot of John Cena. I think I have, but really the only stuff I've watched of John Cena was when he was a rapper, not like
Oh,
PG.
okay.
Never give
Okay.
up John Cena.
Mm.
And seeing him now on TV, like it's very obvious the people that work with script and don't work with script, and he seems like he's just there, like just no shits to give. He's just saying whatever comes into his mind, and it's quite entertaining actually.
I
Shocking.
remember he had a match and it blew my mind at the time because I assumed this was the end for Daniel Bryan. He had a match with Daniel Bryan when he was just starting to get some momentum behind him and all that. And I thought, this is going to be a squash. This is how they put an end to this. Obviously, they had some relationship ties on the go and things
Of
like that.
course, yes.
But yeah, he put Daniel Bryan over, and I remember being a bit stunned. I was like, really? Gave him plenty of offense, and I'm sure he got his hand raised in the match, Daniel Bryan.
He's kind of turned into this weird character, John Cena. I don't know if you've ever seen him interviewed, but he's all full of like life tips and very zen, and why would I worry about that if I can't change it, and here's what I do in my life and all that sort of stuff. He's quite an odd character, really. I wonder if he's playing a character.
Maybe. Quite impressed with some of his film roles. I found them quite entertaining.
No, he has been good. Well, I'll talk you through what is
Yeah.
currently down. So there's obviously 2 nights. So there's only 2 matches confirmed for each of the 2 nights. So night 1 confirmed, Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul.
Okay.
Night 2 is confirmed for the undisputed title, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. I sent you a clip from Raw last night. Did you like that?
No, I've not actually seen it
Oh,
yet.
have you not? Okay.
Had a bit of a hectic day, so yeah, didn't
Tell
have.
ya.
Yeah, so
How
I will
dare you.
watch it. That's all. I was trying to do my job while there were men all over the house putting solar panels on and
wow.
electricians in
On
setting
you?
up.
Like they're turning you
No,
into some sort of crime fighting.
I now
Robocop.
wonder why I didn't ask them to do that. But disappointingly, just on the roof of the house, and yeah.
Powered by light.
There was a lot. It was one of those days where more people, like we'd phoned a plumber about a week ago and he showed up today while everyone else was in the house, and just one of those days. There was always stuff going on.
Oh well.
So yeah, but I
If
will
you
watch
it. Let me know what you think. I feel like I cannot watch the TV show. However, I feel like I see these wee clips of Cody Rhodes doing these promos, and I'm always like, oh my god, it's amazing. Anyway, other matches that are confirmed: Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Okay.
Bianca Belair versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar versus Omos.
Okay.
The Homo sapiens will be getting wild. I didn't come up with that. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship.
I think I might quite enjoy that. Okay. Yeah.
Austin Theory versus John Cena for the United States Championship. Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus versus Damage Control, which is Bayley, Dakota Kai,
Bayley's
and
group.
Io Sky. Yep. Edge v Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match. God Almighty, they are still going on in this 12-year.
Will that be
feud.
the end? That'll surely end it.
You think that? There's talk about Edge finishing up. No wonder if they keep putting them in these long ass feuds with everybody. There's a women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, but they've only got 1 tag team in it so far.
That seems like a problem, but okay.
A men's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Ricochet and Braun Strowman versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders.
Did the I love some of these performers, but did the shine of the return for Braun Strowman did that come off pretty quickly?
Must be off, aye. I'm sure him and Rick. Oh no, they can't have been. I was going to say I'm sure him and Ricochet were tag team champions, but they can't have been because the Usos have been undisputed tag team champions for a long time. Alpha Academy is Chad Gable and Otis.
Oh, right. Okay.
And from what I've seen, what they called the male model faction. What are they called? Can't remember. The girl that runs this male model thing was trying to get Otis to join and was calling him Otis. So, yep. And the final match that we've got confirmed so far is for the undisputed tag team championship, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
I think I'm quite enthusiastic for that one as well. Just because I got quite invested in Sami Zayn and his story.
And they're good. They're good in the ring. Usos.
Yeah,
Owens,
they're all
Zayn,
like.
good in the
I
ring.
was wondering about this when you consider like longevity and some of the matches and all that. The Usos, we are in an era where tag teams haven't really been spotlighted by WWE, but they must be considered as up there with among the great teams. I would have thought. I mean, they stand out so much because they've had longevity as a team, whereas usually I think in WWE's eyes, a team is to get someone over and then you disband it. But they've been a team for so long.
Yeah.
But they must have had a hell of a long runs with the tag belts and quite a few of them. I would have thought.
Yeah, they must have. I've had quite a long career. I'm going to have a look when they debuted. Main roster debut 2010.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I don't have anything to say on that. I don't think I'll have seen very much of that. I've seen the more recent. I just always felt like they're just there in a tag team sort of thing. Not really that impressive.
I quite liked because they both got their elements of story with Roman Reigns. Sort of early on and then later in the day, with the sort of, you actually will acknowledge me, despite their early protestations. And I remember watching Reigns I can't remember whether it was Jimmy or Jay, get like an excellent match out of one of them on a pay-per-view
Jay
for a
was
title.
amazing.
Yeah,
Roman and Jay program was brilliant.
And I don't know if that in my mind elevated the two Usos because I came out of it thinking that they can both go. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah. Oh well, we shall see what it's like then. Last time I watched a contemporary Mania, we did not enjoy it, so we'll see how we go on.
Yeah, let's see.
8 hours of. Imagine we had to watch 8 hours worth of 1999.
God,
just wrestling.
Definitely
How many matches you would fit in that? They'd all be like 2 minutes long.
Definitely going to have to watch night one on the Sunday so that I can, prepare myself for. Oh God, my whole I'll be thinking it'll be work and then watch and then we cover it on the Tuesday. Yeah,
pick,
definitely be doing night one on the Sunday.
Sure, you don't want to reconsider your pick?
No, we're doing it. It's going to happen.
Okay.
And some of it might be good.
The fan cast might take us a good hour.
I think we'll have to pick and choose who
Jason Momoa.
We'll discuss this in terms of what matches. It's tough because we probably want to cover some in from night one, some in from night two. Top 2 or 3 matches on the card for each night or something like that.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, I look forward to that.
Awesome.
Maybe with some trepidation. I look forward to that.
Yeah, some of it's going to be terrible, but you go in knowing that, so that's okay.
That's true. Sometimes when you go in thinking a film's going to be shite, it's the best thing you've seen in a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bullet Train. Let's think of it like Bullet Train. Have you seen Bullet Train?
I did. I found it quite entertaining. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You thought it was going to be rubbish.
I did.
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
Okay.
WrestleMania 39. Bullet Train.
Yeah. Perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Take it easy, and we shall speak in 2 weeks' time.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.